Money Professor to a Rust here, and it's all good things. Let's start with the beginning, the true beginning. The Dow Jones, way back in 1902, February 1st was the first day the Dow traded, and the Dow was at about $64. Not to 30,000, but $64, and it crashed, right? But let's see if we kind of zoom out here what happened. So we can see that for a long time the Dow really didn't do much. 5, 10, 15, 25 years. Really, if you had invested at the beginning, 25 years later, you would have made maybe 20 or 30%. Not a good investment, right? And so people weren't expecting the Dow to be an investment opportunity. It was really just used to get equity or to get capital for companies who wanted to get more capital. But then people started realizing you could make money off of this, and it shot through the roof, right? And it went from $100 or so up to $300 within a year. That's crazy, right? 300-400% increase. But the government didn't know what to do about it, and so that created this tremendous crash. And we would see that it went from a 380 all the way down to about 40, so about a 90% crash. Bam. What also is going on here is this is the exponential moving average. This is a 200-day or 200-month exponential moving average. And you can see that as it moved away from the exponential moving average, eventually it crashed back. Now, it fell so hard, it kind of whipsawed a little. But as we follow it, it continued to stay around the exponential moving average. And notice how it stayed for a long time. Stayed for however you call this, about 5, 10, 15, maybe 20 years, right? Had you invested anywhere in this vicinity, you wouldn't have made any money for the first, for the 5 or 10, 15 years. But then it starts going up again. And this time, the banks were smart. As it started to rise up, they put a stop. The government and everyone was like, hey, don't let it rise too much. It shoots up, hey, don't let it rise too much, right? It shoots up, hey, don't let it rise too much. And so when it finally does retrace and hit it, we have a beautiful rise. And so instead of it rising and falling in 1 year, it took 5, 10, 15, 20, almost 25 years. But it wasn't a great growth. To go from 200 to 700 in 25 years is not a great return on your investment. So it waffled, and look how long it stayed waffling for, right? It was about 5, 10, maybe 15 years, something like that. It really didn't do anything. Had you invested in 1965 and 1980 rolls around, you would have made $0 if you invested in the Dow Jones. But then it starts taking off again, right? And you start thinking macroeconomics, what was going on that led to the crashes and all that stuff, and you get some ideas here. But let's keep following. It shoots up, and this time they didn't stop it as hard as before. And so there was some blips here, right? There's a pretty big blip going on, but it keeps going. We have this historic rise that finally crashed at around 2000, and it didn't even really crash as far as it should have, if you guys remember the .com. But that was the retracement, and so this is a great rise. This went from $1,000 to $11,000. That's a huge 11 times increase in about the same amount of time as before. So now they've got a nice rise up, and it's a tremendous gain. And then we had the crash, and there we go, up and down, up and down. But what you'll notice here is how long did that crash? First of all, it didn't really crash, and then when it did crash, it never really stayed crashed, right? All the other times it took about 15 years. Here, even if you count it, we're looking at most maybe 7-8 years that this that Dow Jones was under. Because after 2009's bottoming out, look at how crazy it's risen, right? Now, yes, we did have this little blip of COVID, but it barely even affected it, and now we're back up as high than ever. So this is disconcerting, right? Because it should have fallen and stayed down for a long time. But had there been probably any other president, it would have stayed down here around here in the elections. It should have just stagnated, and had it fall, it was about to fall, honestly, right here, right at the before Trump was elected, it was about to fall. And had it fallen, it would have been okay, because that would have been a 5, 10, 15 year fall, and then it would have risen up, and at this point maybe we'd be at 22, 25,000. But businessman was elected, and he just pumped this stock up. So we are higher and more extended than ever, and that's why I say we're going to experience a big correction. How big, we don't really know, but 25% is not unlikely. So I like to throw in a little bit of education in there, and there we are. So where are we as of since COVID? So I won't go into this because I explained this in some of the other videos, but it's been a rocky climb. It's been a climb, but even though it's been this historic climb, really 50% in the last year and a half, it's when you look at it, it's kind of rocky. It shoots up, indecision, kind of shoots up, falls back, comes up, kind of falls back, jumps up here in November, kind of climbs up, right? And now we're where we are. And so I was predicting a correction, a fall, and it's been anything but so far. Everyone's just kind of waiting for this thing to finally reach an end. But we can see here, now don't get fooled by this exponential moving average. We are super overextended. This is the same exponential moving average, but now it's by the daily, not by the monthly. That's why this is so high. We should be way, way lower. So I was thinking it might fall sometime soon, and it's just kind of teetering on an edge here. And as we zoom in let's look at maybe the 30-minute. Let's look at an hour for now and see if we can see everything. Yeah, see it double topped here, and it fell, but it kind of rectangled. And so now we're in this funky little rectangle, up and down, up and down, up and down. And we ended just before Good Friday, where it was just nearing the peak, right? Not the all-time high. The all-time high was up here, but pretty close to the all-time high. And if you look at the futures, it's supposed to open up a couple hundred points higher, and of course that would push us up and make an all-time high ever, right? Following Easter Sunday, all that stuff. So we're expecting the stocks to be bullish tomorrow, but who knows? So we're going to invest wisely. Okay. So I promised that I was going to show all of the stocks and everything that I can show. I will. So here we go. This is my stock Google Sheets, and right. I guess if you're savvy, well, maybe I'll block this a little bit off here of where it is. But this is my stock list, and it's important to have a small stock list. There's 6,000 stocks. I chose these stocks, namely for this. This is the options multiplier, meaning if you were to buy one option, it would give you a leverage of 43 if you bought an American Airlines one. Carnival Cruise with 36. Intel would be an 89 times. So spending $1 would give you the leverage power of spending $89. So that's like 89 times your money. Now, that doesn't mean if it goes up 1%, you're going to make 89%, but you are going to make way more than 1%. And so you want things with high leverage. I took out, then you also want things that have that are optionable, meaning not only does it have options, but the options are given every week. So there's expirations for every week, and moreover, there's options every point. So American Airlines at 23, we'd have an option at 23, an option at 23.5 maybe, an option at 24. So it's played. These options are played, and the reason being, if you get a stock that doesn't have a lot of options to it, then you're going to have a huge spread. You're going to take loss right away, and it might be hard to buy or even sell it. So after trading options for about a year, I got savvy with some good options, and I also developed some likings for stocks. Airlines, right, is here. CCL is and NCLH are Carnival Cruises. These took huge hits with COVID, but they shouldn't have. They're both extremely successful, extremely valid companies. They shouldn't have gone down. They just went down because what happened with COVID. Draftkings is my wild card. That thing has been shooting off, and it's just been fun, and it has had some good options. I even forget what some of these are. I think this is the Gap. This is of course Intel. Macy's, again, something that fell like crazy down to like $4 or $5 at some point, and is now, well, we're not trading it now, but is doing very well. Zoom is here. It's one I've been looking at, and then I believe this is Wells Fargo, like the business account or something, just for whatever reason, right? It just has some options there, and look at the nice multiplier on that guy. So, there's probably 30 or 40 more of these stocks that I could have chosen, maybe even 50. But these are the 10 that I'm looking at. And of those 10, I analyzed them all. So let's take a look and see how I did. Actually, I don't have them all here, so we'll re-put them in here. So we had AAL, we had CCL, we had, what else don't I have? GPS isn't here. We had Macy's, Norwegian Cruise Line, and WBA, and I think that was it. So let's go one by one very quickly and see how I came up with so we know the Dow Jones is shooting up, right? What are we looking for in a stock? Well, we're looking for three things. Whoops. We're looking for a breaking point. Is the stock close? What I've learned is that, trading the stocks changes over time, but right now a lot of people are savvy and a lot of computer programs are savvy. And so when you get close to a trend that's about to break, oftentimes there's some fakes that happen. But whether there's a fake or not, there's energy, there's movement. So you want to be close to a breaking point, meaning it's about to hit a trend line. Is there energy? Meaning, is there volatility? Right? Has it been swinging up and swinging down, or is it just barely moving? And the stop, meaning if I go in, can I get out and not lose too much? So it's either no, yes, right, or somewhat. That's kind of my red, yellow, green kind of thing. So for American Airlines, and again, when I trade these, let's start from the beginning. American Airlines had a tough ride, right? It was kind of falling down. This is all of American Airlines, up and down, up and down. It was kind of struggling down, but you could see it was struggling. It was about to pop up when, bam, COVID hit, and it just fell like a ton of bricks. And then recently, with COVID lifting, it's shot up, right? So this is in a rising channel. And if we zoom in, we can see that this is the rising channel, up and down, and then kind of crazy up thing and down, and then a little bit up and down. Maybe there's a smaller channel in this big channel, but then it fell down and came all the way up again, hit a nice double top, fell down, and now it's going up. So I called this in the middle of a rising channel that just hit large horizontal resistance, and I misspelled resistance. So you see this crazy line here. Where did that line come from? That came from the very beginning of time, right? That's where it opened at. 25 is where it opened at, hit down at 25 again in 2016. Right before it fell, it was breaking at 25, and then bam, it crashed, right? If you would have shorted here, you would have made $1 million off of this. And so it's just about to break through that resistance in an upward channel. Can you say bullish? Absolutely. So we zoom in a little bit more, and here we are, right? It's fallen down. It's pretty much hit the bottom. Let me get rid of this again. Yes, it could fall back down, but I think it's in the middle of rising up again, and it just hit this resistance. All right, so that's that. So now let's look at CCL, Carnival Cruise Lines. Carnival Cruise Lines, up, down, as most stocks do. Now, most stocks go up and fall, right? If you look at any number of the 6,000 stocks, they've shot up and then they've fallen. So anything that doesn't fall is good. And so this one had its nice climb for a number of years, kind of up and down, but had this beautiful rise up. It was kind of retracing a little bit, and then COVID hit, right? And there's no reason for it to fall this far. But it's also in a rising channel, and so we can see that better on the daily here. It fell because of COVID. These are some long resistances like before. Here's the resistance of where it fell. See, it gapped right there, came up and hit down again, came up, hit down. So that's another horizontal resistance. And now we're in this rising channel, up, down. This is a beautiful rising channel, right? This is an easy stock to trade. That's one of the reasons why I like it. So it hit a double top here, right? Hovered around this long-term resistance from before, and then fell, right? And it didn't fall all the way down, pretty close, and now it's kind of rising up. So this is a tricky one. This could still fall or it could still rise. That's why I didn't trade it, but it's in the middle of a rising channel that's in between two large resistances, right? It's kind of waffling in between here. So not a great trade right now, but something that likes to move, and we're going to keep an eye on it. Draftkings. Now Draftkings, if you go out to the monthly, it's kind of funny. There it is, right? Draftkings has only been out since April of last year, basically. This is the 1 year anniversary. So that's all that's done. But look at this easy to trade stock, right? Up, down, up, down, up, down, right in this channel. Super easy to trade. And it just hit the bottom of this upward channel. And remember, what is this Dow Jones about to do? It's about to shoot up. So this thing is about to go up, right? We don't know, but it's poised to go up. And so I say bouncing off a rising channel, right? Does it have, is it close to a breaking point? Yes, right? It just bounced off this rising channel a few days ago. That's pretty close to the breaking point. It means there's energy. People are looking at it. So people, it has a chance to maybe go up or down a lot because it's right on the edge. Is there energy? Absolutely. This thing is oscillating almost 20%, here, going up and down in this rising channel. Is there a good place to get stopped out of? Absolutely, as we'll see here. It's a low risk bet to get on this. Well, it's a little high, but it's okay. Moving on. GPS, you're getting the picture here. This isn't one I'm trading right now, but up, down, up, down. Okay, this is, the gap. This is a gap. So again, it had some trouble, after the .com, but it stabilized. It was shooting up, retraced a little, but it didn't go as far down. It even landed a little higher. It was looking to go up again. And then, fell a little bit here just before COVID, and then COVID hits and it just crashes. So that was really unfortunate for the gap. It was in this indecision. I had already fallen a little bit, and then boom, crashed. So since then, it has shot up through the roof, amazingly, from $5 up to $20 in a couple months. Can you say millions of dollars to be made on that? Absolutely. Reached some indecision here along this line. It kind of shot too high, but didn't fall enough. And now it's starting to rise again. So it's this funky kind of rising channel we're looking at here. I kind of drew some different wedges here to kind of denote it. But GPS is a broadening wedge with lots and lots of energy. I actually think I made a mistake on this. I don't think I would call it a broadening wedge. This is kind of like I don't know what you would call this. This is just something funky. It's I guess the reason I was saying broadening is that normally it's supposed to go up and down to the channel, right? So it fell a little bit too low, but then it really, here is okay. Here it rose above the trend line, right? And then it fell below the trend line. And then it rose all the way back up again. So it's kind of broadening. It's getting more crazy with it. But this, whatever shape this is called, actually, I don't think it has a strong shape for it. Interesting play, right? Not something I'm going to do right now, but interesting to watch for sure. Intel. Intel's been around for a while. Let's look at Intel. So Intel started way back in 1986 at about, what is that? Well, let's see. It started at 40 cents a share. So had you bought Intel back in 1986, wow. It shot up like crazy with all the .coms and then crashed and, kind of trudged along and then has since shot up again. And now we're in this nice rising pattern throughout, the 2009 to 2018 run. Really started to try to take off and formed again a little bit of a broadening wedge that turned into a rectangle. and it's just been beautifully traded. Now this is a stock with a high multiplier. So look at that, from 40 to 70, back down to 40. Crazy money you could be making on this stock. But on the daily, it doesn't move that much. So if we zoom in to the daily, it's one that actually doesn't move a ton. It'll move a couple of points or so, a few percent. But the multiplier is insane. The multiplier is 89, so it's almost twice or three times these other stocks. So it doesn't have to move much for you to make money on it. That's why I was trading it. That's why I was looking at it. All right, Macy's. So Macy's, of course, has been around since the dawn of time, but on I don't know why. I honestly don't know the history. It should have been much earlier than that, but whatever. Let's look. It had fallen in the ladder.com. I mean the ladder. Maybe because the Macy's was on the NYSE and then moved, or I don't know. Who knows? But it's currently on the NYSE, and it had fallen and then had this beautiful rise since 2009. Had you invested in Macy's? See, this is why I'm looking at Macy's. Had you invested in 2009 when it bottomed out at $5 a share? Look at that. In the next 6 years, it goes up to $70 a share. That's crazy money. And look at how easy it was to trade this stock. I mean, you could draw. This is a textbook channel. Then it fell, and I don't know why it fell. 2015, 16, it started falling a lot. It was really not doing well, and you could see a channel forming as it fell. Fell a lot. Looked like it was kind of maybe bottoming out. Who knows? Maybe trying to rise up, and then COVID, right? And so this thing fell down to again $3 or $4 a share, and has since come up. So Macy's, if we look at the daily, since November has really shot up a lot. Had you invested in Macy's, man, would you be really happy right now? It shot up past all resistance, and is looking ready to climb some more. So Macy's is a broadening top that just bounced off of the low. Let's see if I agree with that. Again, maybe I copied and pasted some of these a little off here a bit, but it's not one I'm trading now. But I guess you could call this, I don't know if you'd call this a broadening top, but it has some direction to it. I almost see this as a rounding top. It's what it's doing is it's reacting to this. Let's see if I can zoom out. It's reacting to this super big trend line here that just it crossed, right? But then it retraced, and so it's having some trouble right now. I guess this is not a broadening top. This is like a converging top, but it's having a little trouble not knowing how to behave, But I have faith in Macy's, but you can see it's just oscillating. So this isn't a great trade right now. It's not, we don't really know what's going on with Macy's, but it's one I'm looking at because it shot up so much, and you can see that people are trading it too. NCLH, Norwegian Cruise Line. So this is one that I said was doing very well, and you can see that it had been doing fine, doing its thing, almost forming this converging top that was going to shoot up, and then COVID, bam. No reason for this thing to fall other than, everyone got it on their cruise lines and they shut down business. So of course they just tanked. But they shouldn't have fallen that far, and then of course it's just meteorically risen since then. And I was trading this. This was a fun one to trade. So currently it's on this kind of slower rising trend, but it's getting, and if I can come out here, why did we draw those two lines? I think we were drawing it to maybe denote here. See, there's some congestion back in 2014 and 15, and I was just trying to get some idea of how it might behave today based on what was happening 8 years ago from a technical perspective. And so you could see that there's some resistance it's trying to get through here. And so if we come back on the daily, we can kind of see that it's making it through that resistance, but it's Look at that. It's bouncing around on that resistance. And let's see. Here we go. That's better. So that's what I wanted to show. Excuse me. So as it's shooting up and rising up, and it hit this resistance, it kind of faltered, but it's going fine. So this is definitely a rising trend that is meeting some resistance. Now, is this a head and shoulders? Kind of like a rising head and shoulders about to fall? I doubt it. I think it's just a rising trend that's actually broadening as it's rising. So what did I write for NCLH? Very interesting trend. Yes, just bounced, rising, broadening top. Yes, because see how this is nice and linear, but this is kind of getting bigger. It's getting wider. So that's showing energy. Energy is good. So we said, is it near a breaking point? No. Does it have energy? Yes. Right. Does it have a good stop? Meaning, can I get out early or a good spot? I don't know. Maybe not too great. It's hard to see any big resistance lines here when you might get out if you were wrong. Right. It would have to fall kind of a lot before you would really say that you were not rising anymore. That's not always great. Okay, and we have WBA. Well, Walgreens. That's what it was. WBA wasn't Wells Fargo. It was Walgreens. This Boot Alliance. I don't know what it is. Walgreens Boots Alliance. Just something I maybe happened into. I don't know how I found it, but I like it. See, it started back. I think this might be Walgreens. Who knows? Maybe it's just called Walgreens Boots Alliance, but it's really Walgreens. So this stock has been shooting up. Even during the dot-com crash, it didn't crash that much, right? And really has shot up like crazy. It's another stock from 30 to 90 in 5 years. But then it crashed a lot. And as it's been crashing, those are trades. But recently, it looks like it's hit its bottom because it's been rising. And you can see now this nice rising trend, up and down and up and down and up. And then it hits some resistance here, up and down, hits the bottom of the channel, up, down, and it just hit the top. So Walgreens is a rising channel, just pushed through tons of large resistances. Meaning, if we go back to the monthly, see this is a resistance that represents kind of like the top over here in 2011. Here, I don't know what this this resistance is definitely the top here and some of the tops here. So there's been a lot of resistance, and as you can see, it's like muscled through all that and it's come out on top. So this is a one that is also ready to rise even more. And finally, Zoom. So Zoom's been interesting because of course it reacted well to COVID, kind of. Right, so let's look at Zoom. So Zoom started off. Can we go back further? Nope. 2019 is when Zoom hit the NYSE, the Nasdaq. So up down doing its thing, and then shoots up. Right. This is 2020. So this is it. Right. So this is COVID. COVID happens, and boom, shoots up through the moon, hits almost 600. And then I was like, what the heck is going on? What has Zoom done? Nothing. And so it started falling, right? Zoom didn't do anything to deserve this. It just was what everyone's using now. So it hits up, falls down to almost this resistance, right? Shoots up again, kind of. There's like a mini little up and down in here. Hits down to the true spot, right? If we zoom in, the true resistance from where the gap first happened. Scuttles along here. Maybe people thought it was going to fall. Nope. Faked them out. Shot up. Perfect. Well, not perfectly up to this point, which is where we draw the trend line. Shot down, back up just to that trend line, and then full-on rejection past the initial resistance even. It was so deep, right, in these last couple of months. And now it's kind of scuttling there. So to me, this is like, hey, you've already gone through the resistance. It's already confirmed that it's falling. It should fall. And yet it's not, and we'll show this. It's just kind of slowly rising. So, hey, who knows? Maybe, we could draw a trend line down here instead of this trend line here. And maybe it'll just shoot up and really go through the roof. But absolutely, is there energy here? Absolutely. It just hit this like 5 or 6 month resistance. It just hit the top of this small little trend line. It's just ready to either go up or go down, and it's going to move a lot. Okay, so I did all that, right? I did all that on over the I think Friday. Analyzed all of those, put some yeses, nos, and s's, and chose my stocks. So the stocks I chose are these: AAL, DKNG, INTC, and ZM. So let us now look at these. Now it's getting late. I'm going to wake up early tomorrow. I'm not going to probably put much annotation on here, but it's going to be here for testimony, so that people who are looking at this days, months from now can see, wow, Tua really put it all on the line here. So this isn't going to be a great training video because I'm not going to have a lot of words underneath, but I'm just going to post it as is. And then I'm also going to trade in the morning. I'm going to record myself trading. I won't do it live yet. Eventually I will, but I'll see how I do, edit it, and I'll try to be. Yeah, I'll be recording myself talking while trading. So that way, if I swear this or that, I can edit it out instead of being live. But I want to be out there. That's just who I am. So let's look at AAL. We said it was in the middle of this rising trend, and it looks to be true. If I look at the 30-minute, here it is. It shot up, double top, fell down. It hit some resistance here. Tried not to fall, but it did. And then it fell even more, and that's about as far as it fell. You draw these trend lines, they aren't always perfect. That's pretty close to the bottom of the trend line. Shoots up, has some indecision, and then shoots up again. Okay, so if we zoom in now onto maybe the 5-minute, I don't really want, I think that's the best I got. I'm going to zoom in on this actually here for a bit. We can see that it shot up, had some resistance, shot up again, and hit here, and now we see this downward pattern, right? So I thought over here that the stock would fall, right? And instead it just rose. So that was a great buy, and I predicted that if you saw my other videos. And now it's hit up and fallen again, and we're trying to understand, what is it going to do? Well, this is another kind of, converging top that suggests it will fall. But it's also kind of petering out. It's all very interesting, very, very interesting. So, how do you trade? Okay, remember, we are just trading for like 1 or 2%. Let me show you this. I'm sorry, this is American Airlines. I don't know if I said this was Zoom. But should this stock go from $23.95 to $26, right? Why would it do that? If it went from 23, right it is now, all the way up to maybe just 26, just where the double top happened. Not much, couple of points, right? That's like an 8% rise. That would equal a 367% gain because of the multiplier, 43, right? Look at the math, right? It's saying H4 times F4, so this number times this number. Now, it's not to say that if it rises 8%, your account will go up 360%, but it will go up 100% or more if it goes up 8.6%. And so I had some color scheming here saying if it went over about 150% to color it green, so all these stocks can move. So this is a stock where if it just shoots up to 26, man, you're making tons of money. But it's got to shoot through some resistance, right? It's got to shoot through this 24.25, so that's a big watch. But we want to trade this thing first thing in the morning. Now, who knows if this is going to move or not in these extended hours. You're seeing some movement, but nothing great. And so we'll look at 6 in the morning and see what it does. But assuming it still oscillates here, if it peaks through this resistance. Now, why did I choose that resistance? Well, I want to play this stock, or I want to play one of these stocks. And so, actually, I'd like to play all of them, or all 4 of them. Sorry, let me get rid of the ones that we're not going to look at, just in case it gets confusing to me. So if this thing hits up here, well, that could be a positive trend, right? Because it went up and down, up a little less and down, up a little and then down. So if it shoots up again before reaching the very bottom, that's a change in pattern. See how it goes up and then hits the bottom down here? And then up a little less and then falls all the way down again to the bottom here? and shoots up again, and if it doesn't fall down, if it instead curls up, right, that's a change in pattern, right? It did not fall all the way back down. It kind of curled up. It has a chance to curl up higher, right? Now, it may not. It may shoot up, and then it may fall. At what point do I get out? Well, I would say, if I'm playing this micro trend here, and it shoots up higher and then falls down below, then that's a sign that I'm wrong, right? Imagine I get up, and it shoots up to this, and then it just falls all the way back down to that. Okay, so maybe it struggled a little to fall, but it still might be falling. At any rate, this thing is not shooting for the moon. It's not going to hit 26 anytime soon. If it shoots up and falls down, it's a good time to get out. So you see where I put those resistances? Right here at 23.95, and then down here at 23.79. So there it is. 23.95 is my trigger. 23.79 is my safety. It could go as high as 26. My expected gain is through the roof. My expected loss, this is what I love, 0.7% loss. You want a loss between, that's definitely less than 2%. If you can get in the low ones, that's even better. So that's awesome, meaning that if I'm wrong, man, I hardly lose any money. Conversely, and this is another reason I love this trade for tomorrow, is that if it falls, right, if it comes down, well then maybe it'll fall all the way. Right? If it falls, if I can short it right here, and it falls and hits down here and keeps falling, look, no resistance. All the way down to here, right? And then if you zoom out, it could fall all the way down to here. There's really nothing preventing it. There's no, look at that, there's hardly any, there's some resistance here at 23.24. Well, that would be a great gain if it fell all the way down to that level. But it could literally fall all the way down to here, and it wouldn't be that bad, right? It would just mean it just hit the same bottom. It could still rise again. So this is a beautiful stock to play, because if it falls, it could really, really fall. Now, the reason why I make that tight short right here is because let's say it does fall, and then it falls all the way down to here, and then it shoots back up, right? Well, I don't have to get out right away. I can wait. In fact, it can shoot all the way back up to here before I have to really worry about getting out. So look at that. It could fall all the way down to where it should, fail to fall through, come all the way back up to here before I need to get out. And if it does, look at my loss, right? It's only a 0.7% loss. So either way I play this, I'm only losing 0.7%. And if I win, holy crap, look at those great. Now, I'm not going to get 8%, but even if I only get 2 or 3%, that's still 2 to 3 times the loss. So that means I only have to be right, 10, 20, maybe 30% of the time. And I'm right much more than that. All right, so that's definitely a play. Now we look at Draftkings. Again, the middle of this rising pattern. That just bounced off the bottom. And so if we look at the 30-minute, there it is, right? It shot up, fell down, shot up, kind of struggled here, right? So if it's going to shoot up again, oh my gosh, right? Then it could really shoot up to the moon. However, if it falls, it could really fall down to here, also making good money. Wonderful, wonderful entry point. Basically, the high of the last week or so is the entry point. Awesome, right? So it could, if it breaks 62.33 or whatever this is, is this really right? Hold on, 63.28. Let me change that. 63.28. There we go. If it breaks through 63.28, then it has the ability to just really kind of shoot off. Because again, where's the resistance? Right? It could shoot all, up to 66, really. There's not much resistance here. And then, of course, if it falls, is there much resistance either? No, not much, right? It kind of just, maybe 61. So, again, a wonderful entry to both of these. So for Draftkings, 63.28 for entrance, and then an exit. And then if it's wrong and it crashes through after it's shot up, then my out is 62.33 for a 1.5% loss. It's high, right? And I might get out sooner. I might get out at 62.8. We'll see. Depends on what happens, but not too bad. But if it shoots up, we're talking huge percent gains. Same as if it falls, right? So again, if this thing falls through the bottom, it should keep falling. And if instead it shoots all the way back up to the same height, oh my gosh, right? Maybe it's a double top and it'll fall more, or maybe I misread the trend. So if it falls, and it falls a little bit more and then rise all the way back up, well, I can get out. I can wait until it gets all the way out of the top, and I'm only losing 1.5%, whereas I have the ability to gain maybe 6%. Okay, and that's if it only falls to 58.5, right? Oh, that's about right. It has to kind of fall a lot for me to gain some percentage on them. Okay, so that's Draftkings. Not maybe the best play, but it, it's something worthwhile. Intel is another one that's been very interesting. We can see that over last few months it's been highly volatile. Traders have been making and losing tons of money on it, and it just hit the double top up here at 67, meaning it could crash right now, right? And it kind of did reject and come back, and then it kind of formed some indecision here. This is going to be a fun one to play tomorrow for sure, to see what happens. If you look at the daily, sorry, that was over the monthly. Here, it hit the double top, crashed down, up, down, hit up, and as soon as it hit that double top, look at that rejection. Barely gets close, and bam, falls down, but then it recovers. And now it's up here again. So is it about to shoot through? Who knows? So if we zoom in here, we can see that, where's my entry point? So this is a little tricky because it has these weird little spikes, right? Here's a spike, and then here's this crazy spike that looks big, but it really just opened up and just crashed that day. So I would say I wanted Intel to be solid, right? Intel was kind of iffy these last few days. I only want to trade if it's going to shoot through this resistance. So maybe I'll get in a little earlier than 65.12, but not much earlier because I really need it to be pushing up. Now, remember, this is coming off of a strong end of the week, and day after Easter and all that stuff. So everyone wants to buy. So who knows? Maybe and remember our multiplier on Intel is 89, so it doesn't have to move much for us to make a huge percent. It moves 4%, and that's 394%. It's got to move double that for American Airlines to make the same percentage. So this is a stock where it ended up going high, and now we're just watching and seeing. If it breaks through, not this, but way up here, then I would buy it. Now, if it falls, I don't want to get out way down here, right? That would be too much of a loss. So I said, hey, if it breaks and it falls down somewhere, I was saying around here. Why? Because that's the resistance. See, I don't know. Let's see. Let's do auto maybe. See how this is basically the resistance down here. It shoots up, falls, shoots up, falls. So if it shot all the way up to here and then fell all the way down to here, I would say, maybe we get out. Getting in at 329.7 with a stop loss at 325.79 means I only lose 1.27%. But the gain, look at that, almost 1,000. Oh wait, sorry, I did this wrong. 65.12, the safety at 64. Meaning a 4.4% rise, 1.7 fall for a 394% possible gain. So not bad. Same with it falling. If it falls down, I used the lowest over the the true low. I could have used this as an entry point or this, but I'm saying, look, if it falls, I need to make sure it falls, right? So if we zoom in on the hourly here, right? I didn't want to put it here. I want it here. So remember how it shot up, fell down, kind of struggled to go up on Tuesday, fell down. If it falls all the way down and retraces all of its gains on Thursday and falls all the way down, okay. But it's still iffy, right? Because it's still got to fall a little bit more. But I don't want to get in down here because then if it shoots up, I can get stopped out. I'd rather short it here. Probably would fall all the way down to here. Maybe it bounces all the way back up and I don't lose anything. But if it falls, then keeps falling, oh my gosh, now I've made a lot of money. Right? It doesn't have to fall too far to make a lot of money on Intel. But if I do have to get out, I don't want to wait all the way till it rises to the top. Again, I use this resistance over here as my stop out instead of getting out way up here. So when I had a big gap in the stops, then I had to make a big gap between the buy here and the short here. I had to make different stops. So I probably should have said for my stops here, somewhat, not a yes. And finally, this is the stock that I really want to trade tomorrow. But one thing I've learned is never ever focus on one stock, and never ever focus on one direction of one stock, because you never know what's going to happen, and you don't want to miss something else that could be going on. So Zoom is the stock we thought was going to fall, right? And it kept rising. I thought it was going to fall on Tuesday, and it shot up. Thought it was going to fall on Wednesday, and it shot up. Thought it was going to fall on Thursday, it shot up, right? So again, I have proof of this, showing how you could have made money on all this based on my analysis. I don't say does it go up or down. I say if it goes up, where do you get in, and where's the stop? If it falls, where do you get in, where do you fall, where do you get out? Based on the breaking points, energy, and stops, right? We don't just do this for any stock, only the stocks that are ready to move. So this stock is absolutely ready to move. I think it could fall all the way down to 305, no problem. That would be an amazing fall. We'd make tons of money. But it could also shoot up, and if it does, oh my goodness, it could shoot all the way up to 400, right? I mean, at least 375. So when we zoom in here, we see that our entry point is very tight, right? I don't wait for it to hit all the way up here. No way. This thing fell and fell and fell and fell and fell on Thursday and scuttled at the bottom, rose a little scuttled. If it goes up again, then that could be a rise, right? I don't see this stock rising and falling just 4 points. I see it moving 20 points in a day, no problem, right? And so this thing could easily shoot up to 336. But you can't make money if you wait too late. So I say, hey, if it breaks 329, boom, get up, 329.97. Now, if it shoots up here and immediately falls back down, oh man, we've got to get out. So that's beautiful, right? Similarly, if it falls in the morning, which I think it will, right? I have a feeling, who knows, and this stock may crash. If it crashes and breaks through this resistance, right? All this kind of resistance here, we look here, it breaks through, right? And finally starts falling instead of opening and rising. Here it opened and rose, open and rose, open and rose. If it finally opens and falls, it could fall a lot, right? And of course, if it doesn't, how high can it rise? Well, if it gets close to this same height, I would say get out. And what's beautiful about this is the entry points become the stops. So entry point of 329, out at 325. For a 1.2% loss either way, but look at the gains, right? If it shoots up to 400, now is it going to shoot up to 400 a day? No, but Zoom I might stay in overnight. Probably I shouldn't, but I mean it could keep shooting and keep shooting and keep shooting, no problem. Just like it fell all in one day, right? This fell from like, what is that? A high of 412 down to a low of 340. That's 70 points it fell. So can it rise 60? Absolutely. And if it does, right, game over, right? You just went up almost 1,000%. That means $2,000, right, could easily become $10,000, right? $10,000 could easily become $50,000, right? $100,000 could easily become $500,000 in one day on options. Okay. And if it falls, that's what's also beautiful, it could fall all the way down to 300, no problem. And if it falls down to 300 or even 280, boom, crazy stuff. So that's it, my friends. I will be looking at these 4 stocks and just watching to see. I'm going to have 2 screens set up where I'll be looking at both. This is where I could, of course, use help if other people got this system. We could look at it together. You could be zooming in together and saying, hey, Tua, watch this stock, because invariably I kind of get zoned in on one stock and I'm just watching it and it's hard to see all the other stocks I'm looking at. But I'll be watching 4 stocks, looking for these entry points. I'll be putting, this right next to that and watching it all and paying attention to it. And I should have some great recaps tomorrow, one way or the other. But hopefully it's because I surfed it well. All right, my friends, that is all.